Lively has no motive to make allegations of sexual harassment public, just as Amber Heard never did against Johnny Depp. What Baldoni does is he goes out and hires the same PR firm that Depp hired to eviscerate Amber. And again, it was to attack and eviscerate Blake Lively. They were very proud of the fact they said Justin Baldoni wanted to bury her.
All right, Blake Lively, we need to talk. When the people defending you are the director of the least funny Ghostbusters movie and Amber Heard's lawyer, you're in some serious hot water. Today we're diving into the mess Blake Lively has found herself in, and trust me, it's getting worse by the day. Paul Feig is back, defending Blake with everything he's got. No surprise there, since she's starring in his upcoming movie. But Elaine Bredehoft, Amber Heard's lawyer...
Blake Lively has no motive to make allegations of sexual harassment public, just as Amber Heard.
Really? Out of all people to crawl back into the spotlight to defend Blake, it had to be Elaine? You can't make this up. We're going to break down how having these two as your champions might be the worst possible look for Blake right now. Is this helping her career, or is it just pouring gasoline on the fire? Stick around, because this is one PR disaster you won't want to miss.
We gather storms, never knowing what they'll mean.
Alright, let's set the stage for this fiasco. Blake Lively, the Hollywood darling with a squeaky clean image, is now caught in a legal storm. She's facing some serious allegations involving sexual harassment complaints during the filming of It Ends With Us, and things have spiraled into full-on damage control mode.
Actress Blake Lively is filing a civil rights complaint
Blake's team is trying to contain the PR fallout, but with every new development, it seems like they're digging a deeper hole. And now enter two unlikely defenders, Paul Feig and Elaine Bredehoft, each stepping up to take Blake's side, but for very different reasons. First, we've got Paul Feig, director of Ghostbusters 2016 and A Simple Favor. Now, Blake happens to be starring in the sequel to A Simple Favor, and Feig really needs this movie to perform well on Amazon. The stakes are high for him, which explains why he's out there publicly defending her. It's a classic case of, I've got a movie to sell, and my star needs to look good. Then we have Elaine Bredehoft.
A major setback for women, for women inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
Because
Yes, Amber Heard's lawyer from the infamous Johnny Depp trial, she's back, and somehow Blake Lively's team thought it was a good idea to bring her into the fold. Now, I'm not sure who decided to dust off Elaine for this defense, but aligning Blake with the lawyer who failed spectacularly in defending Amber Heard is, let's just say, not the best PR move.
With her, what happened in this case in big picture is Blake Lively makes a private complaint of sexual harassment to Baldoni and the other individuals in the middle of the filming, saying, let's get it right and let's be professional for the rest of this filming.
This brings us to the big question. Why these two? What does it say about Blake's situation when her defenders come from such controversial corners of Hollywood? Stick with me, because we're about to dive into how Paul and Elaine's involvement could be a ticking time bomb for Blake's already fragile public image.
Blake Lively is definitely not everyone's favorite person right now.
Let's break down why Paul Feig is jumping to Blake Lively's defense. It's not exactly hard to figure out. He's got a movie to promote, and that movie, A Simple Favor 2, happens to star Blake. The sequel is slated to premiere at South by Southwest in 2025, and Amazon has a lot riding on its success. So, of course, Feig is out here singing Blake's praises, calling her the best and an amazing collaborator. But let's be real, this is more about protecting his own interests than anything else. The last thing Feig needs is for the movie's lead actress to be embroiled in a PR nightmare that could tank its performance. Feig isn't just a director, he's a brand. He's known for working on successful comedies and building films around strong female leads. So his reputation is tied to Blake's success in this film. If A Simple Favor 2 underperforms, it's not just Blake's image that takes a hit, it's Feig's too. You can bet he's keeping a close eye on all this drama because he needs this movie to work. After all, Ghostbusters 2016 didn't exactly do him any favors in the public eye. The backlash was loud, the reviews weren't kind, and while it wasn't all his fault, the director always shoulders some of the blame when a movie tanks. Now, here's where things get interesting. People aren't exactly buying Feig's sudden defense of Blake. The timing is way too convenient. Social media comments on his recent post promoting A Simple Favor 2 are filled with skepticism. Comments like, who really directed this? Paul or Blake? And did Blake rewrite the script too? Show that audiences aren't blind to the fact that Feig might just be protecting his paycheck here. He's doing everything he can to distance himself from the the idea that Blake might have taken control behind the scenes, something that Justin Baldoni has accused her of doing on their previous project. So why does this matter? Because Paul Feig stepping up to bat for Blake right now doesn't come across as sincere, it feels desperate. And that desperation might just backfire. Audiences can smell a PR stunt from a mile away, and Feig's defense of Blake, while necessary for his film's success, risks making the whole situation look even more staged. Now, let's talk about the real head-scratcher in this mess, Elaine Bredehoft. Yes, you heard that right. Amber Heard's lawyer is out here defending Blake Lively. If you're Blake, you've got to be wondering how things got this bad. Elaine's involvement is doing more harm than good, and honestly, it's hard to believe Blake's team didn't see this coming. After her disastrous defense of Amber Heard during the Depp trial, Elaine isn't exactly the beacon of credibility you want on your side. Elaine's defense of Blake is already raising eyebrows for all the wrong reasons. The moment her name was mentioned, people started drawing comparisons between Blake and Amber Heard. Not a good look when you're trying to salvage your public image. But it gets worse. Elaine's strategy seems to be recycling the same tactics she used for Amber, and it's falling flat. She's claiming that Justin Baldoni hired a PR firm to destroy Blake, much like she said Johnny Depp did to Amber.
What Baldoni does is he goes out and hires the same PR firm that Depp hired to eviscerate Amber. And again, it was to attack and eviscerate Blake Lively.
But here's the thing. Blake's situation is nothing like Amber's, and people aren't buying Elaine's argument this time around. Let's get into some of the claims Elaine has been making. She's suggesting that Baldoni is planting false stories to bury Blake.
And you see some of the text messages that the New York Times uncovered where these PR people were saying that they were planting false stories. They were very proud of the fact they said Justin Baldoni wanted to bury her.
But the reality is, most of the bad press Blake's getting is from her own words, interviews, comments, and her behavior on set. Elaine is trying to paint Blake as the victim of a PR campaign.
And they were very, very proud of the fact that this would all be untraceable in the social media. And in fact, Blake Lively was harmed. Her reputation was hurt. She suffered damage as a result of this. Why would he do that if in fact this was all false?
But the facts don't support that. It's like she's ignoring the mountain of evidence against Blake's actions during filming. And let's not forget, Elaine was infamous during the Depp trial for skipping key details or getting things wrong. It seems like she's up to the same tricks again, and it's not helping Blake one bit. But here's where things really start to go downhill. Public perception is turning against Blake faster than her team can spin it, and Elaine's involvement is only making it worse. By bringing in the lawyer who defended Amber Heard, Blake's team is inviting people to draw parallels between the two cases. And while Blake isn't being accused of the same things as Amber, the mere association is enough to damage her credibility. People remember how that trial played out, and they remember Elaine's role in it. Now, every time Elaine opens her mouth to defend Blake, it's a reminder of the Depp versus Heard trial. And that's a comparison Blake definitely doesn't want right now. Let's be clear. Elaine's defense isn't just ineffective, it's a full-blown PR nightmare. Instead of clearing Blake's name, it's dragging her deeper into controversy. Blake's team should have seen this coming. Aligning with Elaine Bredehoft, the lawyer who became synonymous with losing one of the most publicized legal battles in recent history, is a move that's baffling at best and disastrous at worst. And it's only getting harder to see how Blake's going to come out of this unscathed. So, where does this leave Blake Lively? Let's be honest. Having Paul Feig and Elaine Bredehoft as your main defenders is like trying to put out a wildfire with a garden hose. Both of these figures bring their own baggage, and instead of pulling Blake out of this mess, they're sinking her deeper into it. Feig's defense might seem like a career-saving move for him, but for Blake, it comes across as a desperate attempt to protect a movie, not her reputation. Elaine's defense, well, that's just throwing more fuel on the fire. Let's break down how this is impacting Blake's public image. First off, Feig's involvement looks like blatant damage control. His defense of Blake is less about her and more about the success of a simple favor too. Audiences see through this, and they're not exactly rushing to support her because of his comments. In fact, many are questioning if Blake's influence on set is what's driving Feig's defense. Is he defending her out of genuine respect, or is he just trying to ensure the movie doesn't tank? Either way, the damage to her image remains. Then we've got Elaine. Her association with Blake isn't just damaging, it's toxic. By aligning herself with the lawyer who lost one of the most infamous celebrity trials of the decade, Blake is reminding people of Amber Heard's downfall. And while Blake's situation isn't identical, the parallels are enough to sway public opinion against her. No one wants to be compared to Amber, and Elaine's presence makes that comparison unavoidable. And let's not forget the public reaction to all of this. Social media is flooded with comments drawing unflattering comparisons between Blake and Amber. The general consensus: Blake's team has mishandled this situation from the start, and Elaine's involvement is just the icing on the cake. Every move Blake makes now is being scrutinized through the lens of Elaine's failed defense strategy, and it's not doing her any favors. What we're seeing here is a PR disaster on multiple fronts. The more Paul Feig and Elaine Bredehoft try to help Blake, the more her reputation takes a hit. Feig's defense feels hollow, and Elaine's is just downright damaging. This kind of negative attention has the potential to not only derail A Simple Favor 2, but also cast a long shadow over Blake's entire career. At this point, it's hard to see how her team can turn things around without completely overhauling their approach. This isn't the first time we've seen high-profile defenders make things worse for a celebrity in trouble. Blake's current situation mirrors a long list of celebrity PR disasters where well-intentioned, or sometimes self-serving, defenders end up exacerbating the problem rather than solving it. Let's take a moment to look back at other famous examples. Remember when Chris Pratt's defense of Ellen DeGeneres during her workplace harassment scandal backfired? Pratt, like Feig, was trying to defend someone he admired, but his defense came off as tone-deaf, ignoring the serious allegations raised by Ellen's employees. In the end, his comments not only failed to help Ellen, but also dragged him into the controversy, tarnishing his own image in the process. Feig's defense of Blake feels dangerously close to the same thing, defending her when the public is turning against her, and in doing so, risking his own credibility. Another example is Jada Pinkett Smith's defense of Will Smith after the infamous Oscar slap. Instead of helping, Jada's comments seem to deepen the public's confusion and frustration about the incident, turning what could have been a quick PR fix into a prolonged media firestorm. In Blake's case, Elaine's defense is doing the same thing. Her involvement isn't helping clear Blake's name, but is instead creating a media spectacle that's now snowballing out of control. Even Johnny Depp's earlier defenders during his legal battle with Amber Heard went through a similar experience. Many celebrities stayed quiet because they understood the risk of associating themselves with a scandal until all facts were out. Those who spoke too soon on either side faced backlash. Blake's defenders, particularly Elaine, should have taken notes from these past examples. Sometimes the best defense is silence, especially when your credibility is already under scrutiny. Feig and Elaine might believe they're helping Blake, but what we're seeing is another case of celebrity defenses gone wrong. Instead of stabilizing the situation, they're dragging it out, making it harder for Blake to reclaim control of her public narrative. This is how careers get derailed, not by the initial scandal, but by the never-ending defense that follows. Blake's situation is slowly becoming a textbook case of how not to handle a celebrity crisis. The more her defenders speak, the more the public starts to question not only the validity of the allegations, but also the motives behind those defending her. And in the world of Hollywood, once public trust starts slipping, it's almost impossible to get back. And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. From power dynamics to industry politics, we've seen how their influence goes beyond just their work. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay tuned for more.